Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
Now entering the game for Philly Press Box Radio, Bill Furman and Jim Chet Chesko.
It's Wednesday, July 26, 2023. Welcome to the Philly Press Box Radio Roundtable, brought to you by the Irish Rover Station House in Langhorne, PA, Allstate Insurance in Westchester, PA, Cavs Philly Tailgates, and the Edge of Philly Sports Network. I'm Bill Furman. I'll be your host tonight, along with my partner, Jim Chet Chesko. Hey, Chet, as you can see, this half of the Philly Press Box Radio Traveling Roadshow is in a hotel room right outside of Chicago. So, hey, we do what we have to do. We've done it in worse places than this, so we're just going to roll with it.
Yeah, enjoy that seedy hotel room, Bill. I'm sure it's a fancy one, but
well, it's not a Motel 6. The light is not on, but we're doing the best we can with what we have. We're out here working at the National Memorabilia Collectors Convention, having a blast, and had to sneak away to get up here, and this was the only place I could do it, so we're doing it.
Yeah, with your grainy video. Hey, last week, Bill, I was feeling pretty confident about our Phillies, but they've lost, 5 out of 7 or whatever since then. And the 2 wins were both final inning nail biters. The struggle is real. We will discuss that, Bill. But you know what? You buried the lead. No, not the official opening of Eagles training camp. I'm talking about the fact that today is birthday number 50 for the lovely Kate Beckinsale and number 80 for Sir Mick Jagger. I didn't tell you, but we're devoting a big chunk of the second half of our show to my 2 favorite Brits. Well,
I have to ask you, how many birthdays is Beckinsale going to have? Because you seem to talk about it every week. What's up with that?
No. Today's a special one, though, a milestone, 50. A lot of birthdays today. Helen Mirren has a birthday. Sandra Bullock is 59. But, yeah, Kate and Mick, they're the 2 big ones. So we'll talk about it.
All right, sounds good. Well, hey, speaking of the Phillies, I don't know. We got to figure this whole thing out because they can't hit. And who would have ever thunk that? We're all concerned about the pitching. The pitching has done a great job. They can't hit. We'll talk about that. Not much happening with the Sixers and Flyers this week. It is Eagles training camp time. Always a great time to talk about that. And we're also going to hit another all-time list. We're going to talk quarterbacks, all-time Eagle quarterbacks. And you did a great job last week getting an A+ on running backs. We'll see how you matched up to Rube's pick on Eagles all-time quarterbacks. A lot of good stuff there.
Yeah, you're probably wondering how high on the list will Brad Gable be? I know.
Yeah. Well, there's Brad Gable. That's right. And there's the Detmer boys as well. So, hey. Yeah. But, hey, we have a great guest making a return visit tonight to Philly Press Box Radio with Bucks County Courier Times, Tom Moore, joining us again.
He's here. He's ready to roll. Let's get it going, Bill.
Let's do it. Let's welcome Tom Moore back to Philly Press Box Radio. Tom, welcome. You're not in a hotel room, it doesn't look like.
No, I am not. I am in the master bedroom of our home in Bucks County.
With one of your biggest fans behind you.
Yeah. Put on bum. Yeah.
Well, Tom, welcome back. You know what? It's been actually 13 months since your last visit with us. We talked with you shortly after the Sixers 2021-22 season ended in disappointment. And that's how the 22-23 season ended too. So let's talk about that first. The disappointment even greater this time around because of the way it happened. Tom, you've covered the Sixers off and on for several years. What's going to happen with this team now this summer and next season after the frustrating end to the last season?
Well, first of all, I don't know if you can see the shirt, but it says, "Here's Johnny." It's when they made Johnny Davis the head coach almost 30 years ago. And I think I've worn it 5 or 6 times. I found it in my drawer, and he was a super nice guy, but he had a rookie GM in Brad Greenberg, and it was just a train wreck, unfortunately. But anyway, I figured I'd break that one out, something a little
very good.
Same as it ever was. I mean, it's the same stuff. Embiid's never healthy. Although this time they had a 3-2 lead on the Celtics and couldn't win game 6 at home, and then got smoked in game 7. And those guys did not get the job done in game 6 and 7 against the Celtics. And I don't know they're not in a favorable spot with Harden. I mean, everybody knows he wants to be traded, and, it's not like, fair value is a relative term, but I don't think you're going to get an elite player for him, and maybe a very good player and a couple of role players and a couple of picks or whatever. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I guess you have to pin your hopes on, having a new coach, and you hope that, he can figure some things out. I mean, Doc Rivers, if it was a 50-win team, they'd win 50 games. Maybe Nick Nurse, can do some different things, try different things. Maybe if Harden goes Maxey, it's more Maxey and Embiid. And, that seems to be the future, the future of the team. But yeah, they're in a tough spot. A lot of other teams have gotten better. They've lost some role players. I don't know. They're in a tough spot. You wonder how long this is going to last, how many more chances before, potentially they blow it up.
Well, Tom, if you look back over the last handful of years, let's say 6 or 7, when we started the process, if you will, the whole thing was we're loaded with assets. We have all these assets, all these trades we've made, all these draft picks. Here we sit in 2023. We have no one to trade. We had no draft picks. What happened along the way other than they missed on some serious draft picks?
Well, Sam Hinkie compiled all the draft picks, and, he was able to get Embiid, took a risk. Dario Saric was a risk. Simmons was the number 1 pick that year. It was him or Brandon Ingram, but the newer regimes wanted to win now, which I can't blame them for. So they packaged a lot of those picks for current players, a player and a pick for a better player, that kind of thing. So yeah, they do not have a lot of draft picks, either their own. They can't trade a draft pick until 2029 in a deal, because you can't play. You have to have. You can't be without a first round pick in consecutive years and trade in advance. So they could make a trade on draft night, but they couldn't make a trade, beforehand. So in terms of, Dame Lillard, I mean, 2029 is a ways out. Teams want assets now. You can do pick swaps. But yeah, they are not in an ideal, situation here. I mean, it's kind of like this has kind of run its course, and they had 3 really good chances, really, with the quadruple doink, with the Raptors, and losing to the Hawks at home in the second round when they had the 25-point lead in game 5, and then up 3-2 on the Celtics with a path to the conference finals, which would have been at home against the Heat, and they couldn't get that done. So,
well, maybe the coach will be the difference. You mentioned Nick Nurse. 2-part question, Tom. How will Nick Nurse be different from Glenn Rivers? And what about B-Ball Paul? Might we see him on the court with Embiid as a power forward?
Well, I would say if he can improve his offense and especially his shooting, his perimeter shooting, you could do it. If he's not, he's a very limited offensive player other than offensive rebounds and, alley-oop dunks. He's active defensively. He's a pretty good rebounder, but he's going to have to make a real jump in terms of his performance, I think, to do that. I mean, I think Nurse will try things. I think he's sometimes a non-traditional coach, which means that, perhaps things that, Rivers may have thought of, but not opted to do. Maybe Nurse will take a shot at it. He has a reputation for being a bit of a tinkerer and things like that. And maybe that's what they need. Maybe they needed a new voice. Maybe, I know Rivers was only here for 3 years, but it seemed like longer. And it seemed like, they made the second round all 3 years, and 2 of the 3 years probably should have advanced to the conference finals. Didn't get it done. And, management made a move. So, Nick Nurse has a chance. Morey's got to give him more talent, more depth. They always seem to need wings. They always seem to have trouble defending the wing and shooting the three. They really need some things.
Tom, one final Sixers question from me. Back a few years ago, and I keep looking at this as a whole big picture and not this year's picture. They started with Harris, then they got Simmons, then they got Maxey, then they got Harden. But the big thing seems to be we need to get more talent for Embiid. Can Embiid win?
Well, I mean, he gets hurt every year in the playoffs. He's never been 100%. And I mean, it's been, this is not just 1 or 2 or 3 years. And he did not, game 6 and game 7, second half of game 6 and game 7, if you're the MVP, if you're going to carry the team, you got to will your team. You got to win game 6. You got to find a way to do it. And he did not do it. So, I mean, he could probably use some more help. But at a certain point, if you're that good, I mean, it was funny. Everybody was saying, Embiid's so much better than Jokic. And Jokic can't do this, can't do that. Then with the finals and everybody saw what he can do, a lot of people got real quiet pretty fast because he is a fantastic passer. He has a weird shot, but it goes in, and he played terrifically when the stakes were highest. And Embiid has not gotten to that point yet. He has not been a difference maker on a team that makes the conference finals. I mean, I covered the team for 34 years. They've been past the second round one time in 34 years. That's crazy. And you have Iverson, they had Barkley, and they had Embiid in this regime, and it's happened once. So, Embiid has to look in the mirror. There's no question about that. He certainly deserves some, if not a decent amount of the blame.
Well, now when he looks in the mirror, he's going to see a married man at least. Congrats to Joel and his wife. Let's switch and talk a little Eagles, Tom. Training camp is officially open. What are the key things to watch? Whether it be, position battles or whatever. What are you going to watch for at Eagles training camp?
Well, I think there's some really the safety position. They really have nobody with any experience. So what's going to happen there is Howie Roseman going to have to, end up making a deal and trade a 4th round pick to get somebody who's established to step in, or will they be able to figure it out, make it work with, some younger, unproven guys, which they have. A lot of how many of the rookies are going to play and how much are they going to play? One of the rookies is up for the right guard spot with Cam Jurgens, and, you have Dean, and there's a lot of players that are in the mix, 1st and 2nd year guys. How much are they going to play? How much are you going to get from, the veterans, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, those guys, Lane Johnson, I think, is fine. Hassan Reddick, guys that have been around a while. How much are they going to be able to contribute? The key for them, I think, is to not have to play a lot, so they're fresher late in games. I think that's why Brandon Graham had such a good year. He played, less than he has in his Eagles career, but he was more effective because when he got in on passing downs, he had a lot of energy. He wasn't on the field for 1st down and 2nd and 7, and then, got to pin his ears back and get after the quarterback. So will they have the running back position? Is it going to be by committee? Is Swift going to be the main guy? Is it going to be situational that 3 guys will play depending on circumstances and what they want to do? There's a lot of interesting things to watch for. Yeah.
Tom, what do you make of the fact that both coordinators left, became head coaches? They did promote from within. Do you see a continuity breakdown in that area, or do you think it can be smooth sailing since Nick Sirianni doesn't make the play calls to begin with?
Right.
How do you see the adjustment there, even though Johnson and Hurts are supposed to be tied at the hip?
Right.
How do you see that playing out?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like how, even if somebody's a disciple of somebody else, you're going to do some things differently. You have to put your imprint on, even if you follow your predecessor 2/3 of the time, there's things that you're going to change. And then you have rookies and free agents and trades. So there's always new people coming in. So continuity, can be an issue. And I think, having the respect of the players and proving to the players that, you can do it and you can be effective and you can make adjustments, things like that. And, we should know that, by the end of September, at least, in terms of, how smooth that is, how it works, and, what the big significant changes are from a year ago from the two previous coordinators to this year's guys.
Although you didn't see a whole lot of him on the field last year, Nakobe Dean is going to be the guy at linebacker this year. How confident are you that he's ready to, step up and take that job?
Yeah. Linebackers almost like running back in a way. It's a very undervalued position. I think, teams think, I won't say that you can have anybody, but I mean, look at, Singleton was their leading tackle for a couple years. He was undrafted and they've had late picks and free agents who've done really well at that position. But yeah, I think the stage is set and he's got a real opportunity, like you said, Chet, to really kind of take that over and, be the guy. But he's got to prove that, that he can do it. That's the key thing. People don't understand, like with the drafting, when you make a good pick, you're under control with those guys for 4 years and that they're limited what they can get. So if you're going to go pay free agents, the problem with the Phillies was that they drafted so poorly for so long, they had to go out and get guys at all these positions and they had no minimum salary or low salary guys they could plug in anywhere, because they drafted so poorly. So that's why it's so important in the NFL too, because these guys, might be a 4-year, $6 million contract, making, $1 million, 1.2, 1.4, 1.6, whatever it is, that, the progression. And that helps to allow you to go out and sign guys and stay under the cap. So you need to, get guys who can play. And then sometimes they leave after 4 years if you don't have the money to give them. But that's really essential. And the Eagles have done a much better job, the last 3 or 4 years in that respect.
Tom, I think on the offensive side that fans think Jalen Hurts is just that good. And maybe he is. Can he continue to be that good, I think is the question. But I thought last year when they got off to such a fast start and he was doing all these magical things and running the football a lot. And I thought in the middle of this season, they kind of pulled him back and didn't have him running the ball quite so much. And then at the end of the season, they kicked him back in. Can you play a full season in the National Football League all the way to the Super Bowl, running the ball and throwing the ball the way Jalen Hurts does?
Well, obviously the more the quarterback runs the ball, when you're out of the pocket and when you're not, the quarterback back there, when you start scrambling, you're fair game. And, absorbing hits, ACLs, things like that, it increases the chances of those things, happening. So I agree, Bill. I thought it was, the progression and the middle toward 2/3 of the way when he was really not looking to run as much and throwing the ball, and they were still very effective. And I think that's, it's nice to have that element where, they have to have a linebacker shadowing him or whatever, which helps to open other things up. But you can't have the quarterback running 15 times in today's NFL. You can, but it's like playing Russian roulette. You really need to balance that. And in a key spot, if there's nobody there and you can run 15 yards and go out of bounds and get a first down, that's great. But if you got to go over the middle and take a shot from a 260-pound, linebacker, too many times. So yeah, I think that progression needs to continue. And if he can make anything close to the jump from year 1 to year 2, and then year 2 to year 3, holy smokes.
He goes in the stratosphere if he does that.
Yeah, really. I was amazed. Because I thought he held the ball too long. The year 2021, he did a lot of things wrong, and I was amazed at how quickly it was. Like Tyrese Maxey. It was like the same thing. The progression was incredible. It just got so much better so fast. And, that was, they certainly wouldn't have had near the season, if he hadn't played at such a high level.
Well, Tom, it's July 26th. Training camp just opened. What are your early feelings about how well the Eagles are going to be this year? They look to be the class of the NFC, but the schedule's tougher. Everybody's going to be, gunning for them. Can they get back to the Super Bowl? What are you thinking?
Yeah. It's still, I still have a hard time saying they're going to finish 12-5 because, we had 16 games for so long. And now the 17 game thing, it just sounds so weird. Like, wait a minute, 12-5 should be 11-5 or,
right.
12-4. But yeah, I totally agree. The schedule is really difficult. And so, they were 14-3 last year, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I could see them going 12-5 this year, but that could be good enough for the first or second, seed, which is essential, to get the home games and, number one, ideally to get that, to get that bye, at that time of the year is so, significant. But, things went right for them last year, and I think they have as good a shot as anybody, but it's really hard to sit here on July 26th and know what's going to be happening, the first week of January or whatever, in terms of who's going to play well, who's going to get hurt, who's the surprise team. There's always seems to be a surprise team, both good and bad in the NFC. Can the Cowboys finally get their act together? There's so many things, that are unclear, but like I said, I think they have as good a shot as anybody.
Tom, one final Eagles question for me. A lot of talk about Jason Kelce putting together a Hall of Fame career. Your thoughts on that? But secondly, over now in the conversation is Lane Johnson with his last couple of years, putting him in Hall of Fame consideration, and then add Jason Peters to that, who I think people are already thinking is a Hall of Famer. You see them all going to Canton?
Yeah, I think Peters and Kelce are Hall of Famers. I think Johnson, I don't know. I mean, the last 3 or 4 years have been unbelievably, high level. But not a lot, offensive linemen, it's not like wide receiver or quarterback, like not a lot of those guys tend to make it in. You have to be really, really elite. Kelce, I just think, has been the best center, in the NFL for 4 or 5 years. And, the downfield blocking and the leadership and everything that he does. I think he's definitely a Hall of Famer. Peters, I thought, stayed too long, got too big, but that, he was the best left tackle in the NFL for, the better part of a decade. And I think he is. Johnson, and, to be fair, Johnson, the whole steroid thing could be a factor there too, with the 2 suspensions. You don't know how that's going to, factor in, but he's a terrific tackle. And I mean, he went to college as a quarterback. It's just hard to believe, that the guy was 220 pounds and now he's 330 pounds or whatever. Like it's amazing.
All right. One Phillies question from each of us. For me, Tom, what are the top priorities for Dave Dombrowski approaching Tuesday's MLB trade deadline?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's sort of risky to keep the way it is with the pitching, but Sanchez has been really, really good as a 5th starter. You just have to cross your fingers and hope and pray none of the first 4 guys get hurt. I really think it's an outfield bat, a right-handed, left fielder, whatever it is, whether it's Tommy Pham or whoever. Their offense just has been underachieving and has not, gotten the job done. And Schwarber is really a subpar left fielder. I mean, he has the worst defensive numbers of anybody. I know in the National League, in terms of, the runs given up, it's like -20, whatever. It's some like ridiculous number. So make him the DH if Harper, and it looks like he's going to be okay at first base. He's an athlete. He has common sense. It looks like he'll be okay to play there at least some of the time. I think that's the thing that they really need is a right-handed guy who can bat, 6th, 7th in the order, whatever it is.
Tom, I think no one expected Trey Turner to struggle the way he has. But even with that, did you ever expect that this lineup wouldn't hit?
Yeah, it's really, and the thing that now he's dropped off a little bit, but Castellanos has been so much better this year than last year. But, who would think that Harper would struggle so much, especially in the power numbers? And, everybody likes Bohm, has a good average and does a lot of good things. He has no power. I mean, he put on 10 pounds this year and was bigger, stronger, and he's not hitting the ball out of the park. And if they want him, if they think he's going to be a first baseman, you got to hit home runs. And so, yeah, Turner, it's not just at the plate. He's been subpar in the field, and he's an awful. He's an elite shortstop. Now, maybe he's going through the same thing Castellanos is, and he's just not comfortable, and it's taken him more time to adjust. Maybe he wants to prove he deserves that 11 years, 300 million or whatever it is that, he's going to do it. But holy smokes. He has been I would have never, ever thought that, I would have thought the second baseman, Stott would be more likely to struggle. And you can argue he might be their best hitter, consistently. And he probably shouldn't be batting sixth either, but the egos and the salaries of the guys at the top, but eventually he's going to be number one or number two. He's going to be up there higher. He is a really good player.
Last thing, Tom, and I did tip you off to this, as you heard. As you know, it's Mick Jagger's 80th birthday. I know you're a Stones fan, and we're doing a little segment on them later in the show. So many great songs. Do you have any particular favorites from the Stones?
Yeah, if you want me to pick three, I think I said Let It Bleed, number 3, Give Me Shelter, number 2, and You Can't Always Get What You Want, number 1. But I could say Street Fighting Man, It's Only Rock and Roll and Satisfaction. And people would argue those are better, There's so many good songs and so many, memorable moments and so on. Yeah. Wow. I'm going
to reveal the list in about 5 or 10 minutes. So
nice. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it because so many obscure songs that are great. I almost threw like Backstreet Girl or one of these Live With Me or one of these like obscure songs because there's so many good songs.
Faraway Eyes, one of my favorites.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, and the whole like mocking country tone of it too, I thought she'd run off with the nearest truck driver she could find.
Yeah, that's great stuff. Great stuff, Tom.
Well, hey, Tom, before we let you go, let all the followers know where they can follow you and all that you have going on, social media, Twitter, whatever you have.
Sure. Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Tom Moore Philly. Or X, maybe I should say on X now. I don't
X
even know.
Now, yes.
There's no birds. It's an X. So I don't even know if it's called Twitter anymore or whatever.
I don't know.
Crazy stuff.
Anyway, they can follow you there, right?
Yep. And I know I guess how many guys turned you down before you had to come to me this time? How deep did you have to go into that?
No, you were our first choice this time.
You're on our list. Tom, we always appreciate you taking the time to join us, and thanks for doing it again.
Anytime, guys. Thanks a lot. Enjoy Chicago, one of my favorite cities, Bill.
You had one of Giordano's pizzas last night, Tom.
The deep dish?
Oh yeah.
Outstanding. Take care, Chet. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks,
All right, Tom. All right, Chet. Summer is here. Gas prices are going up. Time for you to save some money with Allstate's pay-as-you-go auto insurance.
Yeah, you got that right, Bill. Allstate's pay-as-you-go auto insurance puts you in control. You only pay for the miles you drive with the same full coverage that a traditional policy offers. Pay-per-mile insurance gives customers greater control of their insurance policy costs. See how much you can save with pay-per-mile insurance by calling your local agent. In Westchester, Pennsylvania, that is Dave Lavoie. And by the way, in addition to auto insurance, Dave's Allstate office also offers home and renter's insurance, life insurance, business insurance, and more. Allstate in Westchester. Call Dave Lavoie at 610-430-0700. Once again, 610-430-0700. And I got to tell you about the Irish Rover, but I got to find something here for that first. So, Bill, Phil, for 8 seconds. Go ahead.
All right. We're going to talk. Hey, Chet, I never did give you my list of Rolling Stones. I told you I had it down to 6.
Yeah.
And I did get it down to 3, but I'm going to throw my 6 at you since I have 8 seconds. All right.
Okay.
In no particular order. All right.
All right. We'll go with that.
For the 6.
Yes.
Brown Sugar. Can't Always Get What You Want. Satisfaction. Jumpin' Jack Flash. Under My Thumb. And Honky Tonk Woman.
Well, you'll be happy to know that several of those will be in the top 10. Your votes don't count because you missed the deadline, but several of those will be in the top 10, and we're going to reveal that shortly. But first, we're going to talk about the Irish Rover, Bill. They have a lot going on, as always, at the Irish Rover Station House in beautiful Langhorne, Pennsylvania. And this is what the Irish Rover looks like from the side. It's a great place. And what they have going on there, well, they have dinner specials every Thursday through Sunday. They have killer burgers every Thursday. By the way, I didn't make it to that yoga on the patio event last Sunday, but I'm sure that was a huge success. There's always 24 beers on tap. You know that. They have Quizzo every Wednesday evening. So people who aren't listening or watching us right now are over at the Irish Rover playing Quizzo. And something else, I mean, it's only July, but you know what? It's not too early to start thinking about your holiday party. And the Irish Rover is a great place to have it because in addition to the bar and restaurant, they have a real nice banquet area. The Irish Rover is on Bellevue Avenue in Langhorne. You can get more details on their website, irishroverstationhouse.com.
Hey everybody, it's Willie Nile here, and you're listening to Chet and Bill on Philly Press Box Radio. You lucky people.
Yeah.
Okay, here's I want to throw this out there. Speaking of Dave Lavoie at Allstate Insurance, Freddie Burns says, got some great quotes from Dave today at Allstate. So, Fred, we appreciate you supporting Dave. And, of course, Dave will do a great job. He's a good friend of Philly Press Box Radio, that's for sure. Well, Chet, you're going to do this as a random chat, but
we're calling it a random chat, yes.
All right. So, you've been working on this thing for 2 weeks. So, and I know this is important to you, so we're going to put you ahead of more Philly talk tonight, and we're going to hit random chat. You want my 3 before you do this? You want them after?
Oh, you narrowed it down to 3?
Oh, yeah, I had 3. I was just giving you my 6 to tease you.
Oh, okay, yeah, I didn't know you actually, give me your top 3.
Number 3, Honky Tonk Woman.
Uh-huh.
Number 2, Under My Thumb.
Okay.
And number 1, and there's a reason for this, there's a story, Satisfaction. And the reason for that is in about 1965, I want to say, that song came out. I believe. Yes. I was just a lad then. And we went to Texas and spent the summer with my cousins. And my cousin Pat, bless her heart, rest in peace, took care of us and did all this kind of stuff. And that was the song of the summer of 65. And Pat sang that song forever and ever and ever. She was much older than I was. So that has been in my head since 1965.
And you still hear it today, and it still sounds great. The funny thing, only 7 people out of the 60 who participated mentioned Satisfaction as one of their top 3 songs. But it was enough to get it in the top 10. But still, I would have thought it would be, much more popular. But still, it's a classic, that's for sure. All right, let's do this thing, Bill. Here we go. Last month, I challenged my music-loving friends to give me their 3 favorite Beach Boys songs, and more than 40 of you played along, God only knows, edging out Good Vibrations to earn top honors in that voting. Well, I've upped the ante this month, with Sir Mick Jagger celebrating birthday number 80 here on July 26th. I asked you over the past week to give me your 3 favorite Rolling Stones songs. And I know that's not an easy task with so many amazing songs over their 6-decade career. But scores of you gave it a try. In fact, exactly 60 of you to be precise. And I spent last night tabulating the results, and it was pretty interesting how it turned out. First, a side note or two, even though I was a fan of the Stones music right from the get-go, when I first heard them back in the day, I never got around to seeing them live until 1989, when they kicked off their Steel Wheels tour in Philadelphia. When they came around again in 1995, well, they were in their early 50s, so I figured I should see them again because, it might be my last chance, right? In 2002, I thought for sure this could be the last time. Yep, I went again. The Pretenders opened for them that time around. And yes, I saw them again on their 50th anniversary tour in 2013. Simply amazing. And yet again on the No Filter tour in 2019. Still great. So yeah, I'm a fan, obviously. I mean, I got a whole bunch of their albums, several of their CDs, a great 50th anniversary book that came out 10 years ago, DVDs like these 2, several T-shirts, and even this swimming pool ring. And I'm sorry you had to see that, folks. Okay, the voting. I asked for your 3 favorite songs from the Rolling Stones, and not surprisingly, a total of 52 different songs were mentioned, from the massive hits to the cult favorites to deeper cuts. I should note that I checked in with a couple of my pals from 93.3 WMMR in Philly to see what their favorites are, and, well, afternoon drive host extraordinaire Brent Porsche chose Paint It Black, while that wild nighttime vampire Jackie Bam Bam said, Rocks Off. Now, before I tell you how the voting went, I'll tell you what my favorites are. And quite honestly, this could change for me from day to day, from one mood to another. But I went with 3 classics as my favorites. Honky Tonk Women is always my go-to number 1. And on this particular day, my second and third choices were Brown Sugar and Gimme Shelter, number 2 and number 3. But hey, this isn't about my picks. What did everyone who voted determine to be, collectively, their absolute favorite Rolling Stones songs? Well, here we go. Start me up. I can tell you that several pretty big hits did not even sniff the top 10, from early classics like 19th Nervous Breakdown, As Tears Go By, Mother's Little Helper, Ruby Tuesday, Street Fighting Man, and Under My Thumb, to 70s and 80s classics, It's Only Rock and Roll, Beast of Burden, Shattered, Waiting on a Friend, and most surprisingly, Start Me Up. Only 2 people put that classic in their top 3. Wow. Okay, I'm now going to put up a graphic showing the top 10 based on our voting. Each first place vote worth 3 points, each second place vote worth 2, and each third place vote worth 1. So, drum roll, please. Look at that. Your list of fave Rolling Stone songs. The 10 through 6 half, including the classics Miss You, Wild Horses, Brown Sugar, Paint It Black, and Satisfaction. Angie then getting the number 5 spot based on more first place votes than Satisfaction. And the top 4 songs in a near dead heat. My favorite, Honky Tonk Women at number 4. You Can't Always Get What You Want, 3rd, and a couple of classics duking it out for the top spot. But hey, the devil wins out here based on getting more first place votes. Yeah, Sympathy for the Devil edging out Gimme Shelter for the crown as your favorite Stones tune. Bottom line, the Rolling Stones are still worthy of that world's greatest rock and roll band tag, and Sir Mick Jagger, now 80 years old, for my money, the best front man ever. I could go on, but it's all over now. Happy birthday, Mick.
Hey, great job. I know you had a lot of fun with that. It was everything was great except for that ring in the pool picture. Why? Why did that have to get in there?
Give the ladies a treat, Bill. A little something for the ladies.
I'm sure that did
it. You never know.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I'm pretty sure about that. Oh, my goodness. Hey, Joe has something for you. When are we going to do this?
I'll tell you right now, I saw Barbie and I saw Oppenheimer last weekend. I did the whole Barbenheimer thing where I saw each of the movies. I'll tell you right now.
Next week.
Okay, we'll save it for next week. Yeah, I'll do a more detailed review next week of
Unless Barbie. It's Kate Beckinsale's birthday again next week, is it?
Not that I know of. No, nobody.
You just go by her birthday month, right? You bring her up every week in a month. Is that how it works?
Who, Kate?
Yeah.
You know what? I think it's time we put that picture up again.
Just because.
Yeah, Kate and me a few years ago. Man, this was, I think, 5 years ago, and Kate looks even better today. Me, not so much.
Amen to that. Hey, let's give a shout out to all the shows at the Edge of Philly Sports Network this week. The gang has all the bases covered. You can catch all the action on www.eopsports.com, as well as on Edge of Philly Sports on YouTube. You can also find our show on Philly Press Box Radio YouTube channel. Please help us out by hitting those like, subscribe, follow buttons, and as always, share with your family and friends. As you can see, it is loaded up every night between football season starting. We've got Phillies, we've got lacrosse, we've got Union soccer we talk about. We got everything covered on the Edge of Philly Sports Network.
You know, I just got a note here. Maybe you saw it too. We're having trouble streaming to Twitter. Boy, Twitter, or X as it's now known apparently, is a mess. So who cares? Watch us on Facebook or YouTube. We do stream on Twitter somehow, but I don't know. I don't know why.
Me neither.
They're a mess.
Okay. Yeah. Let's move on.
One more thing. You were talking about subscribing. we have kind of slowed to a crawl on the subscription. So anybody who's watching us right now, either live or, later in the week via the magic of tape or whatever it's called now, please subscribe. We're fun. We're fun, worth watching every single week. So
That's
subscribe.
right.
That way you get a little notification. And we appreciate it if you do.
And all summer, you'll get to see a picture of Chet in his pool.
You might. If you beg.
You're
Twist
on
my
roll.
arm.
All right. Well, hey, let's move on. We've had a lot of fun these last few weeks picking our top 10 players, different position, comparing them to the list of NBC Sports Philadelphia Eagles insider Ruben Frank. So we're doing it again. Chet, last week you crushed the running backs. We gave you an A+ for that. But it's quarterbacks this week. There are 10. And I'm telling you, I got to look at my notes, Chet, so that I'm telling you the right thing here. Do you realize, before we pick our top 10 quarterback, this is atrocious. Only 3 quarterbacks in franchise history have won more than 35 games.
Seriously?
And only 5 have won more than 1 playoff game.
With the Eagles,
And only 2 since 1960 have made more than 1 Pro Bowl. Atrocious.
That is
sad. That's the only word I got. Atrocious.
Wow.
All right. So let's go ahead. We'll do your 10. I'll follow up with Rube's 10, and we'll see how you did.
Well, let me just tell you this. I'm not so sure that this was easier than last week's. In fact, I think that this was the toughest of these lists for various reasons. I mean, just some of the names you might consider. Sonny Jurgensen played his first 7 years in the league with the Eagles, but he only started 1961 through 63. It was Norm Van Brocklin who was the quarterback in 60 when they won it, right? Tommy Thompson quarterbacked the Birds to 1948 and 49 NFL championships, but who the hell saw Tommy Thompson? I don't sit home and watch Tommy Thompson tapes. So I don't know how good he was, but he does make the list, obviously. And for more recent guys, for various reasons, it's tough to figure out exactly how high to rank Nick Foles, Carson Wentz, and even Jalen Hurts because of the short time he's been there. So not easy for him. And I thought this was a real challenge.
It is a challenge.
Yeah.
And I want to see how close you got, because every guy you mentioned is on the list.
Yeah, well, they should be. I mean, there weren't that many great Eagles quarterbacks.
We've already established that, right?
As you established, yeah. So, all right, here we go. First of all, Bill, I need to tell you that the aforementioned Brad Gable, King Hill, Mike McMahon, those guys, they did not make the list. Even Kevin Cobb. Sorry, guys. They are not in my top 10 or even my top 25 for that reason. But after lots of thought, I did come up with some sort of a top 10, which is actually 11 because I put 2 guys in a tie for 10th. I cheated. The 2 guys, Bill, that you and I watched in our formative years, Norm Snead and Roman Gabriel. I put them tied for 10th. All right. At number 9, I went with Sonny Jurgensen, who, as I said, was a starter for actually a little less than 3 years with the Eagles, but he did put up good numbers while he was a starter before being traded to the Washington Redskins, as they were known back then. At number 8, I'm going to go with Michael Vick. He had some good years with the Eagles. He's number 8. Number 7, yes, Carson Wentz. Helped the Eagles get to the Super Bowl, had a couple of, good years, one amazing year. So Carson Wentz is number 7. And at number 6, I talked about him briefly. He led the Birds to 3 straight NFL championship games, won 2 of them in 1948 and 49. That would be that Tommy Thompson. Boy, what a player he was. I don't know. And now, without further ado, my perhaps controversial top 5. And I'm going to put
something. Can I add something?
Yeah.
As you're talking, you have 5 to go.
Yeah.
You have 6 of Rube's names to get into your 5 spots.
Ooh,
go ahead.
Interesting. All right, I'm going to put the graphic up for this because this is how it all showed up. My 11 through 6 and the top 5 are right here. Number 5, Ron Jaworski. Number 4, Nick Foles. Hey, he was there a decent amount of time. He won the Super Bowl, for crying out loud. Jalen Hurts at number 3, even though he hasn't been there that long. I'm going partly on potential. And number 1 and 2 have to be Donovan McNabb in the top spot and Randall Cunningham, number 2. Whether you like McNabb or not, personally, He is pretty close to a Hall of Famer, and he's the Eagles' best quarterback of all time still until Jalen Hurts surpasses him in a couple of years. There you go.
Very good list. Very good list. But let me give you I'm going to throw you one tidbit before I hit you with Rube's list.
Go ahead.
Nick Foles.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, very difficult. You put him in your 4 spot, right?
I did.
Okay. Nick Foles won 25 games his entire Eagles career, including the postseason, never started more than 10 games in a season, and made just one opening day start and only lasted 8 games that year.
Yeah.
But he also made a Super Bowl run. So Rube
that's
also,
the big thing.
Yeah, and Rube also questioned all those things as he came up with his list. So here we go. Rube's list. Number 10, Sonny Jurgensen.
Uh-huh.
Number 9, who you did not.
Wait, you froze. Say that again.
Michael Vick.
I have Michael Vick number, 8? Bill, you're freezing on me. Your hot spot is not so hot right now. Bill, I'm going to need you to try to reconnect or something because I got to hear this list. I'm in pain right now. Reconnect, Bill. Please reconnect. I'm going to put up my list again while Bill tries to reconnect. Remove yourself. Come back in, Bill. Turn on your hotspot again. Do what you got to do. But there's my 10. And I thought I did a pretty good job with it, to be honest, because of all those factors we discussed. Some guys not being there that long, not winning a whole lot of games, but hey, Foles did win the Super Bowl, so you get extra credit when you win a Super Bowl. Tommy Thompson, who I never saw, never even watched any videotapes, he won 2 championships, 1948 and 49. So he's got to be on the list, certainly. So, Bill, I think we have you again, so you may resume.
Yeah, what did you hear? My hotel and hotspot faded on me. What did you hear on the list?
I know you said Michael Vick was somewhere, but I had him at number 8. And where did Rue have Michael Vick?
Michael Vick was 8. Tommy Thompson was 7.
Okay.
Carson Wentz 6. Jalen Hurts 5th. Ron Jaworski 4th. Randall Cunningham 3rd. Nick Foles 2nd.
Wow.
Donovan McNabb 1st.
Wow. So Rube questioned Nick Foles, but still put him 2nd.
Ahead of Randall.
Wow.
Really,
who did Rube have at number 9? Who was number 9?
Van Brocklin.
Oh, Van Brocklin. Okay, that's what I mean. That's when you froze up on me. Yeah. I debated Van Brocklin. I know he won the 1960 title, but what did he play, like 3 years? I don't even know.
Yes. Yeah, but he won a championship too.
Yeah.
So good list. I don't know who you would put in there. Norm Snead and Roman Gabriel were pretty good. They were good ads by you. I don't know that you put Jalen Hurts on that list right yet. Certainly, to me, not your number 3 or Rube's number 5. Hey, give him some time. He's only been there 1 year. He's got or 2 years. He certainly looks like he's on that trajectory, but I don't know that I'm including him right yet as the all-time greats. Fantastic. We went to the Super Bowl. We like that. We count that as a lot of weight.
Yep.
But, still a long ways to go. Same with Carson Wentz. We don't go to the Super Bowl without Wentz, but is he really an all-time great? Maybe compared to these other guys, because he just
my short-term memory is impacting my question here. Did Wentz make Rube's list?
Wentz made Rube's at 6 and yours at 7.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. So we were actually pretty close.
Yeah. Absolutely. You got 9 of his 10. Your order, let's see, your 1, 2, 3,
a little
4,
different.
5. Your 1 through 5 was the same as his 1 through 5.
Yeah, just slightly different. Yep.
Yeah. So
there you go. All right, that was fun.
We had a lot of fun with that through the summer here, waiting for football to get going.
Next week we do the top 10 long snappers of all time.
There you go. Well, hey, let's move on. Let's talk about what's going on at Bob Cavanaugh and the gang at Cavs Philly tailgates.
Yeah, we can do that. But, before we do that, Bill, I have to find the graphic to put up so I can read from my paper as I do that. Here we go. Yeah, Bob Cavanaugh, Cavs Philly tailgates. Love those guys. Bob has been cooking up terrific catering work for more than 30 years now. He's known for throwing a great tailgate party. I can confirm because I've been to several. Cavs is a 3-time winner of Philly tailgates, Jack Daniels Great American Tailgate Party Contest, and a past winner of the Philly Daily News Tailgate Award. He was featured on Food Network, too. Cavs' next Phillies tailgate is scheduled for Saturday, August 5th. That's fast approaching, a week and a half from now, before the Phils-Royals game at the ballpark. Check out the menu for that and other things like that. Always a great variety of food, all sorts of beverages, just terrific. Cavs does corporate events too, any kind of party, you name it. Cavs Philly Tailgates is the way to go. If you need more info, check their website, phillytailgates.com. And as we've told you many times, Cavs also works with Vince and Company at Philly Sports Trips. And if you're a Philly sports fan and you want to travel with your favorite team, travel with the best. PhillySportsTrips.com is their website. Upcoming trips include one to San Diego over Labor Day weekend and early into that week. It includes a 3-game series, Monday the 4th to the 6th. I think you actually go to 2 of the games, and you'll have plenty of time on the weekend to explore the city before the first game on Monday afternoon. The Margaritaville Hotel San Diego Gas Lamp in downtown San Diego is where you stay, and that's near all the action. You get an all-inclusive tailgate party on Tuesday, lower-level ground group tickets to 2 Phillies-Padres games, and, of course, Philly Sports Trips is booking trips to all Eagles road games now. All the details at PhillySportsTrips.com.
Good stuff. Well, hey, Chet, we started with Tell Me Something Good in Philly sports just a couple weeks ago. I got something good to start with. I'm going to go first. It's football season. Let's go.
All right. That's pretty good. That's it. That's all.
That's all. Very soon there will be a football game every weekend from now until February.
Yep. Training camp underway. We saw all the Eagles offensive linemen coming in their funky outfits. That was cool. Some of the motivational videos already showing up. Good stuff. Well, I got one thing too that's also good. And that is the fact that we are traveling again, Bill, hitting the highways or airports for vacations, getting away to see friends, relatives, or bucket list destinations. Heck, you're in Chicago. As you know, my wife and I went to Italy last year. I believe you have a future trip planned for there as well. I'm telling you, that is going to be great. And this weekend, I'm going to be visiting my son down in New Orleans. And surprisingly, it's actually going to be a smidge less steamy there in NOLA than it will be in Jersey this Friday and Saturday. It's going to be a real pressure cooker up here. So anyway, the fact that unlike 3 years ago, we are traveling again in pretty big numbers is nice to see, and that is definitely, Bill, something good.
Yes, but be careful of one thing. Your flight will be late. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, well, fortunately, we don't have to be there for any specific thing on Friday. So, I hope it's not one of those situations where you're sitting on the plane in no air conditioning for like 3 hours, like happened to somebody last weekend. That's just crazy.
Yeah, well, I had a 7:45 a.m. flight out of Orlando to get to Chicago, and thought get on early, get out, and nope, hour delay in the plane with the door closed, broken safety pin on the door. Let's sit here at the gate in the plane for an hour. It doesn't matter.
It sucks, man. This segment, though, every time you mention it, it reminds me of that song from the late 70s by Rufus and Chaka Khan. Tell me something good.
That's right. That's why we did it. I wanted to hear you sing.
Oh, there you go.
Great guest tonight in Tom Moore. Who's coming to Philly Press Box Radio next week?
We're only going to have people named Tom on from now on, Bill. Next week, we are going to have with us a guy who's at the ballpark in Philly every night with our Phillies because he happens to be the very best friend of the Philly Fanatic. He also co-hosts a weekly podcast with our pal John Brazier. His name is Tom Burgoyne. That's him on the right. But yeah, he knows the Fanatic very, very well. And we look forward to have Tom visiting our show for the very first time. He is a great guy.
Yes, he is. Can't wait for
Tom?
that. Yeah. Well, I've met him. I wouldn't say I
Okay.
know.
Yeah, I don't know him well. I've met him like 3 times.
Okay. Whoa. How about that, Joe Bonder? Well, Joe's got to chime in again. He's got Tom is from the prep. The prep guys stick together.
How about that? And, we were talking about the Phillies earlier, and my buddy PJ said something that I thought was pretty funny. He said this: I think the Phillies need an offensive coordinator.
Yeah. Well, they need somebody in the dugout, I think, to fill out the correct lineup card, because it's a problem. And Chet, I hate to beat the drum.
Oh boy.
But guess what?
Kyle Schwarber?
How can you be hitting 190 and your average drop 6 points? That's like almost impossible, but it's not. You can go 1 for 19 in a week.
Bill, I have a confession to make.
190 average can actually drop if you go 1 for 19 in the leadoff spot.
I have a confession to make. Last week, I kind of defended Kyle Schwarber. I don't really like the idea. I was serious about the fact that they were winning at the time, so you keep him there, even though it's not the best idea. But I know he's not the ideal leadoff man. I know his average stinks. Even with the walks, his on-base percentage of 310 or whatever is not great for a leadoff hitter. He's certainly not the guy who's going to speed around the bases when the 2 and 3 and 4 hitters come up. So, yeah, I'm really not crazy about it. The only reason for me to keep him there is 2 things. They were winning at the time, and secondly, the comfortability level with him and the rest of the guys. And Topper said last night he's not changing the lineup. So apparently it's going to stay the way it is. Schwarber at the top and Turner number 2 when he's not getting a rest like he is tonight. And what do we have, a 4-4 game tonight, Bill?
It looks like 5-4 Phillies. Jane just put up there. In the notes. Sosa hit a home run, looks like.
There you go.
So, I really thought you were telling me something good was going to say, Bill, you're right. But, that didn't. But you kind of did, but you just didn't put it in there.
I can't love Schwarber as the leadoff man, but it is what it is, Bill. Tell me about the Raz Room. How about that?
Oh, let's thank our friends at the PPCC 118 Raz Room. They post great sports memorabilia on their Facebook page so people can take a chance of winning something they may not be able to afford or have access to. All items come with certificates of authenticity. They continue to run out great autographed memorabilia from all the Philly teams and more. Check out their Facebook page, like it or follow it. It's PPCC 118 Raz Room. That's right, PPCC 118 Raz Room on Facebook.
And Bill, last thing for me, we don't have time to go into it, but some people on the social media were bashing Scott Rowland, not just for getting into the Hall of Fame, but for not really mentioning his time in Philadelphia. Well, that's a lie. He did. And I have the proof right here. Scott Rowland during his Hall of Fame speech over the weekend.
I've had the privilege of playing with 4 organizations. Each one has its own personal timestamp on my life and my career. I'm going to start with the Phillies and Philadelphia. Thank you for teaching me how to play the game with a genuine effort and honesty on the field and with the media. I was drafted, developed, given the opportunity, and challenged to play with full effort and a toughness that I hope middle infielders felt deep inside on a double play ball.
Oh, as I was saying, congrats to Scott Rowland, whether you like him or not, whether you thought he deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. He's in there, so congrats. Live with it, folks. Deal with it.
Absolutely. I'm with it. I wasn't thrilled that he got in. I don't think he's an awful player. Or even a bad player, but I'm not sure he's Hall of Fame worthy. But hey, they put him in. Good for him.
Wrap it up, Bill.
Okay, let's thank tonight's special guest, Tom Moore. Our sponsors, the Irish Rover Station House, Cavs Philly Tailgates, PPCC 118 Raz Room, and Dave LeBoy of Allstate Insurance in Westchester, PA. For Jim Chet, this is Bill Furman. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll join Philly Press Box Radio next Wednesday, August the 2nd at 7 p.m. You can see us live on Facebook, listen to our website, phillypressboxradio.com, on Google Podcasts, as well as Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and all the others. High hopes, Philadelphia sports fans, and let's go Phillies.
Happy trails to you till we meet again.